installing a piston in a 2F 6-cylinder block. It's a Toyota. It's from a 1979 Land Cruiser. I had the block acid bathed, blasted, and bored out 20 over. I got new pistons, rings, and I'm going to show you how to install the piston. Okay, so if you come over here, I have a piston with the connecting rod and the bearing journal. These are the rings. This mark is an orientation mark for the front of the engine. The bottom rings are known as the oil rings. This is the second compression ring, and this is the number 1 compression ring. So the oil gaps are important to have those positioned in the right place. So if you feel around to where the gap is, okay, there is a gap right here, and I know that that gap should be positioned at approximately 8 o'clock. This piston, this top oil ring, the gap is here, it's very close, and it should be 1 or 2 o'clock. So once again, the front mark, end gap right here. How that? Sure, how it goes. Typically move a lot easier. Alright. Okay. The number 2 gap faces approximately 11 o'clock to the front mark. Well, if the front mark is facing west and that's north, so then this number 1 ring would go approximately 4 to 5 o'clock. So now the rings are in position and ready for compression. Set the piston in. This is a cheap ring compressor I picked up at AutoZone. I have a really light film of oil on the inside. That'll facilitate its sliding off. And I'll open it up so it'll fit around the piston. So there's nothing to it. Put that over. It's a little key that you wind it up until it really compresses those rings. Okay. Okay, so now the rings are compressed within their gaps. So now I'm going to take off the journal ends. This is a dust-free procedure, so my shop floor is very clean. I mopped it. I typically do a lot of woodwork, so I made sure all the wood dust is out. Even the littlest hair and fibers you don't want to get on. So this is the back of the bearing. Do not put oil on the back of the bearing. Take a bearing, slide it in. There's an oil hole. This hole in the bearing half must line up with that hole. And there's a little alignment mark here that the bearing goes into. From there I'll put a very light coat of assembly lube. This is by Lucas. There's different kinds of lubricants, but this will stop a dry start. So I put a thin film on there. I will cover these bolts with a few hoses. Now, remember to, while I have it in this position, to put a drop of oil on each side of the wrist pin and connecting rod junction. I'll work that through a little bit. Okay. Now this piston is ready to be inserted with the front mark facing to the front of the motor. So we come over. This is numbered number 5. The caps and pistons stay in order from where they were initially placed. Everything stays the same. So we place the, there, place the, come on over here a second, the crankshaft in the furthest downward position and come over and set the piston with the front mark, double check, lined up. These rubber hoses at the end stop it from scraping the cylinder side. Slide it in. Oops. Stay there a minute. We don't want to forget a little bit of lubricant in here. And the piston ring will push that down. So that's what they do. Slide that in place. Okay. So now I have a hammer. It sounds crazy, but it's a hammer. But it has a rubber little bottom. So I'm going to use that to hit the top of the piston till it's flush and this comes off. So now I have the other bearing half. The journal. It too has an oil hole. But there's not an oil, a corresponding oil hole here. So this bearing just goes in, don't panic. Line this up, take the hoses off, and push this down, pull so that the connecting rod goes over the crankshaft journal. I will put a light film of grease, of assembly lube, on the bearing. I will ensure that my match marks line up from on the journal end to the connecting rod end of the journal. Place that on. My torque wrench is set to 54 foot-pounds of torque. But I don't do that all at once. I will do a preload on it and back and forth until I reach the correct torque. And I'll show you how to do that. Just gently. Just gently. The click tells me my torque is correct. And there you have it. One to go, lifters, head, and I should have a new engine. Thanks for watching. Share or subscribe. Thanks, bye.